this Tuesday morning, not quite midway through the trading week and before the thinly traded weekend. We had quite the liquidations last night through the crypto market. It's the exact reason why I talk about do not trade leverage. They leverage hunt. Even if you were on a 12, 13x last night, you got whitewashed. 11x and up, I believe, were liquidated on most of these assets. 10x might have been okay. You might have had to even been down to 6x depending on asset. They liquidated over 75,000 traders for over $200 million overnight. Let that sink in. 75,000 crypto traders like you and I, the only difference is they're in leverage, were liquidated overnight for over $200 million. There was also on, I believe it was Coinbase, a $2 billion order for Bitcoin that stirred a pretty big ruckus in this market. However, if you start looking at some of this, this is why I distinctly tell you not to trade leverage, and I'm very adamant about it. Look what some of these assets did. I kept saying yesterday we're in the weekly golden cross, and this liquidation should help us push to the next level. You liquidate these leverage traders to create more and more and more money flow into the spot assets for them to move up. We are in these weekly golden crosses. Yesterday, I took advantage of this. We sold for a moment ACH for the profit. We sold IOTA and we sold VeChain. And we repositioned into IOTA, VeChain back into once we decided as a group. But then instead of having Alchemy Pay in the group, which I have it personally still, I went with HBAR. Because we're down a little bit on those positions since they opened, maybe 1 or 2% across the board. Nothing major. They were able to sit through last night in spot, watch these horrendous liquidations take place, watch all these people that are now out of the market while we're capitalizing. And assuming that that was the liquidation we were looking for, we're back on top of the 200 in the dailies. We're crossing with the moving average. The weekly, we have these the weekly engulfing candles with the big W reversal with inside of the inverse head and shoulders pattern with the cup and handles that are forming basically at low still. So I'm very happy with what I see this morning. I can't even explain it. Most people probably woke up and put their head through the wall. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I said, oh shit. A lot of people are getting liquidated here. And I was like, I'm going to go back to bed. And Bitcoin was at like, what was it, 116, 117 when or what was it? Not 116 because it started bouncing up by the time I woke up. I think it was back over 117 because it had quite the drop. It got down to 116.2, bounced back to 118. And then overnight, it got back down to 116.6, and then look what's happening. We built that liquidity, and now Bitcoin looks phenomenal. Back over that resistance. If we can continue this push. They did it overnight like they typically do because traders are sleeping, and it's hard to close leverage positions when you're sleeping, let's face it. Yes, it's a little bit alarming with Ethereum with the major volatility, but volatility moves price. And if we liquidated properly, we'll see today. Daily, still a little concerning if that's a reversal. Weekly, the engulfing candle, though, is telling us this isn't finished yet. Unless we have serious sell pressure, we cleared out liquidation like we needed to last night. So instead of coming here and making everybody nervous, I'm going to give you the straight facts. Yes, we can still go down. Yes, this is very volatile. But for price, not just appreciation, but for price movement, you need these liquidations, you need the volatility to have major movements. And what we've seen overnight was nothing short of spectacular. All those liquidations, like I said, over 75,000 traders were liquidated overnight for over $200 million from what I've seen. Can't verify the facts, but that's what I've seen through doing a few different things. I also seen the 200 million or 1 billion Bitcoin transfer triggers massive liquidations. It was offloaded. So Bitcoin transferred nearly 1 billion has caused a stir in the crypto market. The transfer, which originated from Coinbase, was sent to an unidentified wallet, leading to speculation about potential institutional accumulation. So this is a good thing. So the price started to consolidate. And they ended up buying $1 billion. They transferred off 7,743 Bitcoin. So this is not a bad thing, guys. When they send it from exchange to wallet, that means they're holding for appreciation. That means if these institutions are doing it like this, that means in the Bitcoin chart, if this is meant to hold, and we needed this liquidation, there's no doubt about it. If we wouldn't have got that liquidation, this would be a moot point. But with that liquidation and pushing over and holding and now pushing over this line, this would be the head and shoulders line if it tops there in this weekly time frame. If it breaks out past it, we're going to 143. It's that simple. That rising triangle, that's not a rising wedge. That's a bullish continuation. The fact the weekly consolidated down and bounced right off it. So I had to come on now because we're traveling back home today at 10, maybe a little bit earlier. I wanted to come on to at least enlighten everybody, kind of calm everybody down. Jerome Powell's coming out today. You know we're getting rate cuts soon. You know we're getting quantitative easing soon. Even though we've already got quantitative easing to the M2 money supply being at all-time highs, this isn't what I'm talking about. There's going to come another layer of easing when you get, or another layer of quantitative easing right when you get rate cuts. So the way that we have this set up is brilliant. If it breaks down, you can always sell, reposition lower in spot, but you're not hindered. Look at Axelar, for example. I was able to pick up Axelar now, and on that drop, when I wanted it because it has the ties to Ripple really, really bad. And when that drop happened, I said, I can either sit here and do nothing, or I can take a shot here. And then if it comes down, I can liquidate it after. But look at the drop. This is what I mean last night. If you were in Axelar and you were in a leverage trade, you're smoked. You're smoked. Yesterday it was at, and this is literally at about, what, 10 o'clock at night? No, not 10 o'clock at night. Let's see, 16, 20, Monday. Hell, if you took out a leverage trade, let's just say you took it out around 40 cents. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That means anything over 15x is done. And I know a lot of people in my audience try to get frisky, and they'll trade at 20, 25, 30, 35x, 15, 20. You don't see many trade at 2 and 3x where it's more safe, that you can get through a 10% correction with 30%, movement that would be acceptable. Like I said, over 75,000 traders were liquidated overnight for over $200 million. That could be in spot. If those same traders would have waited or just put the $200 million in spot, they're fine. They're golden. They're feeling fantastic this morning because everybody who looks for continuation knows you need ultra volatility. You need a lot of liquidations to help carry you through. Gold, silver looking phenomenal this morning. Gold's pushing almost 3,400. It's held solid after the run up of 45 bucks yesterday. Silver is on the verge of 39 bucks, putting on a gain still today after a beautiful day yesterday. Mining stocks should be looking phenomenal today as long as gold and silver holds its course. We want Ethereum to try to hold 37 and then start pushing up universally. We want Bitcoin to kind of maintain this level around 118.8 and then start pushing up to 122. XRP's back over 350. XDC's back in the positive. We were able to I picked up personally too yesterday, like I said, Algo, 10,000 tokens on the drop. So I'm very, very excited to have my Algo, IOTA, VeChain maxed up with my XRP and XRP Healthcare and Axelar and Band and VeChain and AMP and Dent and Data. I didn't run. In fact, I waited for a few of them so that I could advance a little bit or re-enter some. Now, we do have major volatility still, and we're going to have to see if we can get a reversal here because who knows, maybe we come down farther. But the point is you're in spot and you can wait this out in the daily time frame. Now, I could see a scenario. See how we have this bullish cross? This is telling us what we need to see in the daily. These are bullish, bullish, bullish. We just don't know where the springboard takes place is all. So this is the point where in spot, you kind of have to wait and have some conviction here. We have this cup building a little bit of a handle. And then this, if you measure that little bit of a cup out on the second part of this, even though it's a larger pattern, you'll be able to see the next target. Yeah, it's a little bit, gray right now. We'll put it even a little bit lower if we want, just in case it comes down to, let's just say it comes down. Nah, it's going to be tricky. Hold on, let me look at. We'll just do a conservative take because once it breaks out, we know we'll come over the cup and handle, and then we'll measure it from there, right? And we're going to measure it from right here. So the moment this breaks out of the cup and handle, assuming we don't get major sell pressure, because honestly, for the drops we had, there was no sell pressure. It wasn't the kind of sell pressure you would expect with a drop that big. It's almost as if, like I said yesterday, it's the punch in the face. I did a short yesterday. I'm like, it's making it very hard for most to stay in because of the volatility, but we need volatility. No volatility, no price increase. So the next move would be around 32 cents for IOTA if it breaks out of this cup and handle. And I always say if because you never know. The market makers are laser focused on getting this market revved up and liquidating the masses. Same thing with IOTA. If this plays out, and it's great because we consolidated from the movement. We're building looks like a handle here. Again, I'm going to measure it not from the very top. I'm going to measure it just like I did with IOTA. And that would get us up to the larger cup as well. So now if we can maintain, we get on top of this. Now all of a sudden you're talking about appreciation up here. And now you're looking at 43 cents roughly. So it's like, yes, I know that volatility is bad, but look at this sell volume. Like, come on now. If I was getting worried, it's not over that kind of sell volume. That's hideous volume. Now, could it continue down? You better freaking believe they can liquidate again today. And they very well might. They very well might. But that's why I'm demanding of my audience, please, if you follow my lead, do not trade leverage because a bunch of people, either you were liquidated or you had stop losses and yada, yada, yada. And it triggered every one of them. I can guarantee it last night. Because if you're in leverage, you're not looking for it to go down 70% and try to hold it. So today's going to be a big day. A lot to look at. I do have a travel day and yada, yada, yada. But I should be home by 2. Maybe 1:31 if everything goes smoothly. And then I'll be on tonight. We should be on live tonight. Standard operating procedure at 6 p.m. And to continue to see how this market decides to, evolve here. So could it have been worse overnight? You better believe it. You better believe it. Am I happy where we're at? I am thrilled that where we're at right now. I'm thrilled with the massive liquidations. Like I said, from what I could see, and it's more probably, I seen over 75,000 people were liquidated overnight alone for over 200 million. So that's a big deal. There was a $1 billion Bitcoin purchase of like 7,725 Bitcoin roughly, or just over 7,000 Bitcoin. And it was transferred to an unnamed wallet. So that's great. Everybody's like freaking out about that, saying, oh my God, there must have been a whale that sold. It's actually the opposite. It was either an institution or company, probably put out some common stock, probably has a deal with the government, like I keep saying. When the Ponzi continues to float up, you need more and more money to carry the Ponzi. So what better way than liquidate 200 million out of longs, use that for a continued move up out of leverage, and then that $1 billion purchase will also help stabilize the price for a moment. And now it looks like we could continue up here. Now, you can't make a guarantee, but it looks like they finessed the audience, not the audience, but finessed the crypto traders overnight. And now they wake up and like when you woke up, if you woke up in the middle of the night and you're looking at Ethereum about to knock down the door of 3,600. Well, I actually almost knocked down the door. And now you see all of a sudden, it's like, well, what the hell is that? Is that a reversal in the 4 hours? Is that a doji? Is that a long leg doji reversal? And then it's like you're looking at your portfolio. Is this a head and shoulders? Well, the fact we got back on top of here is a great sign. 3680 would have been a logical rejection. Could it be an overzealous run-up? Sure. Sure. So that's what I'm looking at this morning. So I don't know how many people are here. I'll do the 134. 14. That took me 15 minutes to get through. Holy Toledo. Good morning. 8:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. and I reside in the great state of Michigan. About to go home soon. Had a great time. Loved the view. But with that being said, I got to go back home and take care of my garden. I got a lot of stuff that I'm growing outside, so it makes me nervous to leave for 3 days, especially with animals rotating and things. I have like a fortress around it, but still, they can still get in if they have enough time. I have some deterrents, but I am happy to be going home and also saddened to be going home at the same time because I won't be around the people I'm around right now. It's been nice having Julie's sister and her fiance and her kids, and then Julie's daughter and our son and her mom and my mom. So that is one reason I don't want to leave. But like I said, I got a lot of stuff at home to do. And we got a lot of stuff in the charts, and it's easier for me to watch at home. But I've been very present here. We've done at least 2 lives a day, at least 3 pieces of content, even while I've been out here. I'm very dedicated, very focused, and I haven't missed anything overnight. I literally woke up at 3 to check the market just to see where liquidations were. I had a little timer on my watch that went off. And then I'm like, ooh, look at all this red. Not worried. When I seen it, I'm like, okay, baby, come down a little bit farther, and hopefully by the time I wake up at 5, it starts to reverse, or 6. Well, when I woke up at 6:30, I started to see it reverse. I'm like, ooh, Ethereum's back up to 36.60. Took a shower, and then it was back up to 37. Bitcoin was at 118.3 when I went in the, got up, and now it's at 119.3. XRP was at 346. Now it's at 351. XDC was down. Now it's up. It's amazing how quickly this stuff happens. It's amazing. It's really amazing. But a lot of this stuff is set up in such a great way right now that I honestly can't say I'm fearing anything. I said it yesterday. I don't care what it does. It's going to have to punch me in the face and tell me to sell this to get out. And yeah, I sold some stuff yesterday in the group so we could end up having, as much as I liked Alchemy Pay in the group, it's unacceptable for many of my group members not to have HBAR at this point. It's unacceptable not to have IOTA. It's unacceptable not to have VeChain. And there's more that I can go on. The list goes on. It's unacceptable not to have Algo. But I went with the best opportunity and best way of doing it. And I went with VeChain, IOTA, overweighted, obviously, for the group. And so we had IOTA, VeChain, and HBAR. Because if this is going to do what we need to do, we need the group to also be involved in the future of finance, if it's ready to go. And HBAR, I guarantee you with the group, you're going to be very disappointed when it goes to where it's going if you're not in it. IOTA, you're going to be very disappointed. VeChain, you'd kick yourself in the nuts later on because of how cheap it is. Same thing with all of these. IOTA, same thing. Algo, same. There's so many of them I can continue to say. But like I said yesterday, you can't tell when liquidations are going to happen. So you kind of just have to have your conviction, and then you got to roll with the punches as it happens. Do not have leverage. Have I made myself clear now? Do you understand why in the Telegram I do not allow leverage talk anymore? Besides, if you want to talk it, you're allowed to still. But let's face it. Let's face it. You're still going to need help at times. So I said in here in the help desk, I don't mind if you ask questions about leverage at the help desk because it's important to lend help, especially when consider using. So at least I did that and allowed that. But as far as the general discussion, there is no talk about this. Jerome Powell will be here later. A lot of stuff will be going on in a little bit. We'll have to see what he says. But we're getting close to the Q3, mid to end Q3 rate cuts that I talked about in the beginning of the year. I said don't expect them until the end of the year. Q3, probably around August, maybe September. But I would think August could be a reasonable time for it. They're trying to position themselves universally. Trump keeps coming out saying how we need to reduce rates and lower the US dollar and blah, 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 bullshit as usual. But, we don't want to lower rates. It's good for risk assets, but it's horrendous for the rest of the country. So the next time one of our leaders say that, they should be kicked in the nuts because it's bullshit. Because what idiot would tell us we want the dollar to be devalued when we live in the USA and we want rate cuts when we're not going to have any kind of savings now? You aren't have any kind of savings to occur. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We want lower rates on houses. Yeah, but rates are going to go up. Just because we lower rates doesn't mean housing rates are going down. That just means our savings rate is going down. That just means we're going to I'm not going to get into it. It drives me up a fucking wall. I consider myself an economist, a asset manager by trade because of how much money I have under asset management, even though I'm not a financial advisor. Hell, I'm not even licensed, but my audience has me entrusted with over $120,000 on our trades right now in the group. And fortunately, the group is killing it. It's just, you know, you have these layers of consolidation, and we're probably down a couple percent on H bar. Well, maybe not H bar, couple percent maybe on IOTA. Pretty even, I would say, on V chain and H bar. And I think this IOTA chart's updated. Yeah. So, but these are what I want to see. These are the consolidation for a much bigger move if it ends up panning out. This is beautiful. Don't be afraid, everybody. No, I wouldn't. I'm not talking about XRP. I'm talking about as a whole. And yeah, if you bought XRP cheap, you don't need leverage. And most people, what they're doing right now to get the 10,000 tokens, they are overextending themselves. The same philosophy I had with XRP at 35 cents, 34 cents when we bought it, and we're holding on for dear life, is the same thing, same logic I'm using for IOTA, Algo, VeChain, HBAR, XLR, Dent, Band, Data, yada, yada, yada. All you can do is rinse and repeat and have the same basic philosophy. Look at this part. Gold up over 3,400. Mining stocks are going to rip it, it looks like, again. Silver up over 39. Who's been beating down this bush who's been beating the wall down on this for how long? This audience at 1,600, I was begging you to get into gold. At 15, 16 bucks, I was begging you to get into silver. Mining stocks, much farther down, I was begging you to understand the cheapest way to get gold and silver out of the ground is through the miners. Being they pay dividends. Aside from, on mine, Dolly Varden and Fortuna Silver Mines. But, you know, sometimes you got to go outside the box. I had you guys trying to buy Dolly Varden at $3.16 with me like 3 weeks ago, and now it's at $3.90. Hecla Mining up over $6. Fortuna up almost to $7. First Majestic beating down almost $9. Pan America Silver sniffing at a 52-week high just over $30. B2 Gold severely undervalued, but up about $1 over the last couple of, month and a half. Barrick Gold is probably the most undervalued on this entire list with B2 Gold. It's unacceptable that Barrick Gold, the world's largest outside of Newmont Mining, but the biggest gold producer, is sitting at $21 a share when it should be valued at $60. This isn't even, for Barrick Gold, it's not even valued at $2,000 an ounce gold. They chose, and many of these miners chose not to take the gold and silver out of the ground because they were convinced that the price was going to appreciate significantly, so they kept it in the ground. Do you know what that means? One of these times when we do earnings, they're going to go out the freaking roof when they start taking this out of the ground. So I keep saying, don't look at the obvious. Look at what they're not telling you. All earnings are bad. I wonder why. If I had $10 million buried in the ground and they did an evaluation on my assets and they wanted to see how wealthy I actually was, but I didn't tell them I had that, let's just say $400,000 in the ground. And then they're like, oh, well, you're kind of in over your head. You maybe been a little bit overweight here. But if you told them you had the $400,000 sitting in the ground, they go, oh, you're doing great. You kidding me? That's the same thing with the miners. It's underground. The cheapest way to get this shit out of the ground is through the miners. It's the only way to get it out of the ground. And while crypto is going volatile out the yin-yang, that's a nice, safe store of value if you find it at the right spots. Now, to buy it today, sure, gold's up $2,000 an ounce almost. Silver's up $23 an ounce. Miners are up like anywhere from 30 to 200%. So yeah, it's a little more difficult. It's just like crypto. It's up, but you're looking at playing these engulfing candles. Now, I don't know if it's just going to dive back down this morning. There's no way of knowing until it happens. But what we've seen overnight, if we're looking for continuation, this is how it has to happen. However, we've talked about, even with XRP, if this is a double top area, I think the better way of looking at it would be like this. That's how you can determine if this is a double top. Remember the drawings we had. You either come down to 250 if that's the case. Maybe you come down to $1.50. Maybe it's even worse and you break all the way down. We don't know. But right now in the weekly, it's telling me that's probably not the case. Look at these, unless these weeklies have significant sell volume. Yesterday, like I kept saying, was the first day of the candle. Now we're in the second day. We still got 5 days and 12 hours left of this weekly candle. We're fine. It was normal to consolidate to start the weekly. We did the same thing last week, remember? And we waited. Remember ACH with Alchemy Pay? We had to wait, and then all of a sudden we got that surge. It kind of feels like that's what's building across the board, except some, we went so overzealous, and now we just had to cut down. Now, I don't know if it's with this wild volatility, like I keep saying. It's better to be in spot, and if we have to, let's just say it breaks down in our copy trades, end up being down 5, 7, 8%, and maybe portfolio value goes down, $800 to $1,000. Yeah, it sucks in the moment, but then if we reevaluate where we would go, and then we have a buy-in opportunity, we could expand our holdings with less money in the portfolio, but have more tokens. That's what you have to do if you're playing it that way. I'm not trying to buy and sell unless I have to. Yesterday, I found an opportunity where we could get the rest of the group members in and slightly veer from what I was doing with Alchemy Pay with the group and go into HBAR because I think it's important. Well, I'm letting the group know that I still have it in my personal portfolio, ACH. But I see something setting up here, and it's going to take patience. But something is setting up here now. If it falls out, it falls out, and that's something we'll have to deal with later. But as of right now, you're looking for liquidity. You're looking for this overzealous liquidation without a crazy tug and sell pressure, and that's what it seems like this morning. Tom, your Telegram channel has vanished from my Telegram app, and the link has expired. How can I get back into the Telegram? It should have expired. That link never expires. I'll have to talk to the admins and see what's going on there. But I know some people might have lost the privilege. I don't know. I'll have to see what's going on. Yeah, there was a lot of spam. That's what I figured. So Jorge, defined if you're in here, maybe you can talk to Tom and let him know what's going on. Because there was stuff brought to my attention, so the Cannabis Podcast, welcome in. Thanks for being in town zone for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Tom, Frankie Fresh, Tango, Big Dog, thank you for being in town zone for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Corey, good morning. Jorge, Papa Wheelie, and It's All an Illusion. Thanks for being in town zone for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. And Jorge, thanks for being a very trusted mod. Corey, Ronald, good morning. Defined Group, welcome in, and thanks for being in town zone for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. It was fun going back and forth with you about the portfolios we have. Pretty similar in a lot of ways. And thanks for being a very trusted mod and the #1 top fan in this live. Excellent. Maria Mercedes, welcome in, and thanks for being in town zone for your first month with the emoji beds and me being abducted by aliens. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. Let's see. Yes, Tom, I can see what you're saying, my friend. I can see what you're saying, and you're Nilo. So, got to understand the way that the Telegram works. We're not trying to put out bad vibes and have bad intentions in there, and you kind of went down that direction that was steering us into a more hostile narrative. And we're not looking for that. So, that's kind of like, here's the deal kind of thing. Here's your sign, like pull it back a little bit if you want to be a part of it, my friend. Bottom line. And that goes for everybody. We're not trying to cause disruption. There's enough chaos and bullshit in the crypto market without the family coming at each other, and that's not why I built it. Tom, do you or can you put a loss categorized by probable return? In other words, a list of tokens that'll still 10x, 9x, 8x, not fine. Yeah, every one I talk about right now are those tokens. If they pan out. Every single, like Algo, every single one of these, the forward projection on Algo would be to build out a giganto cup. Long term, short term, you'd go from 28 to 57 to $1.12 over time. And then after that, if you could build off of that in time, it would build back up to almost a 3. This is like XRP in slow motion right now. And I say slow motion because it's behind. Look at that setup. Same thing with IOTA. There's no telling where it's going to actually do what it's going to do, but the signs are here that we are very close to reversing this completely up in a very fast way. And at some point, you'll get that 40 to 60 to 70% surge, and then it's just going to be way out of reach. These liquidation style events are beautiful. I'm coming on today trying to give you confidence. Don't be thrown off here. I said it yesterday all day. No matter what they try to do here, via trying to get us to sell, as long as we are in spot and we do it properly, you can sell profits and reposition like we did. That's what we did. All 3 trades that we were in the group, we made profit. Not as much on ACH as I could have sold out. I probably cost us like $150 because I was trying to let it ride out. But it was still almost $300 in profit. Between all of them, it was about $500 or $450 to $500. And then we repositioned into H-bar. We're back in IOTA. And we still have V-Chain. It's just now all of the group that wanted to be in, the new members were able to do it. I find strategic moments to do it. Now, what I should have done, if I wasn't on vacation, I wouldn't have bought it back until mid a.m., but I didn't know it was going to go on. I don't have the greatest connection. So I decided to do it like that. And was I mad that it went down? No. I knew we needed liquidation. I warned everybody before the drop. Remember in the Telegram? I said, be careful. This is ugly. I closed out our group trades. And then I said a little bit later that I bought back H-bar and IOTA and V-Chain, but I said be cautious. That was the problem. Even in the daily, it's like it was showing us signs of consolidation. Now we could get ultra volatile. Hopefully it leads us up now. And then everybody who was nervous and sold out, they're kicking themselves in the ass right now saying, son of a bitch. But we had the front warning of this. Remember XDC the day before consolidated on the candle yesterday, and then when it flipped, the rest of the market did it because the rest, like, it's almost like XDC's on the opposite right now, which is nice. So yeah, we just got to stay in the same, we got to stay in a clear mindset is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. No, it wasn't that, Tom. It's the way you were speaking to said member. Wales, Josie Wales has been a part of our community for years and has never been known to be a fudster. And he was sharing some stuff that he was seeing. We can have an active back and forth, but you can't just come out blasting somebody and be like, oh, this is fake, and tell them every reason why this is hurtful. You gotta be more, okay, if I say something that you don't agree with, we don't instantly say, you know, this doesn't help anybody. We start having an active conversation and we start to debunk it. We try to debrief it. We try to find reasons why it's not true instead of causing a rift. That's all I'm saying. And, you know, I have a very strong personality too. So sometimes when I type things, it comes out in ways that I'm not actually saying it. That's the problem with, you know, chatting through text. But that's all we got, you know? So I'm not mad at you at all. You'll be back in there. I guarantee it, because it's my final word and I'm going to invite you back. But I'm just saying sometimes we got to have a cool off period so we understand. You're not the first person this has happened to, and you won't be the last person, and you have good characters. So I'm not afraid to have you back in there, to be honest. But you got to understand, dude, you're taking it too personally. Like I'm trying to calm your ass down right now, but if you keep talking and spamming and doing all this stuff, I'm not going to be able to help you. Take a step back. Think about it. Period. And if you can't rationalize it, maybe it's not the right group for you. Because I respect you, so I want you in there, and I know you have good character because I've talked to you and I've seen the way you talk. And I'm glad that you pointed it out. We've just got to do it in a different kind of way where we're enlightening. You know what I'm saying? And I think you add a lot of value to the group, so you've got to be in there. There's certain people that have good minds. They can push through all the BS, and they know the FUD from fact. And that's what I need in there. That's why you need to be in there. We just need to do it in a respectful way. I'm not getting mad at you. I just like to be direct sometimes. But I want you to know I think you have strong character. And that's why I am personally going to invite you back if the admins don't. Because sometimes it's not cut and dry. You don't just have one strike. Some people, it's different. Some people I invite in, even if they can't afford to be part of Tom's Army, because they're good charactered people that actually help us. You paid support. You're in Tom's Army, but it's well before that. You've been a great member of this community. I've seen it in the lives over and over and over. So, you know, that's why I say it's not apples to apples. It's not apples to oranges all the time. It's case by case basis. And I know what I'm doing in there. I know what the admins are doing. And this is a way to further enhance the way we talk to each other. I love it. I love what we do. I love that you actually spoke your mind. Now you took a step back and you acknowledge, you understand what's going on. But I want you to know you're an asset to this community, not the other way around. And the admins believe the same thing. We just needed a cool off. That's all. But I want the admins to make the sacrifice here, and I want you to take the time to figure out how to, like, what you would have to do is add me to your contacts, I believe, or you guys are just gonna have to unblock that, and then we'll do it again. And we'll try to do it. But next time, when we have a disagreement, like, let's try to find sources and a way to debunk it. That's what I like to do. That's why, like, when the market dropped today, instead of getting all nervous and panicky, I went through and I looked at liquidations. I went through and looked at some of the transfers. And when I looked at it, I said, boy, the hell's the sell volume? I don't care what everybody else is telling me. Where's the sell volume? And now we have to look this morning and see if this is a retest of the drop or if this is let's just say a manipulated move to clear, because there was a big liquidation on Bitcoin. And I know some of you talked about it before it hit there. And it was like 116,300 or 400 range. And when you look at where Bitcoin hit, it actually hit it right on the nuts. Like, when it hits it like that, you wonder, like, how manipulated is this? And we already know it's severely. But when there's that big liquidation on Bitcoin at 116.3 or 4, no, it was like 116.6 or whatever, or 5. And then it hits it, and then it immediately reverses, and the long leg doji, like a beautiful reversal. This is where leverage traders want to kick themselves, and they bash themselves through the wall. And then they overexert themselves because they want to make that money back, and then it's like more and more and more and more leverage. It's dangerous, man. But that's why we need to have everybody on the same mind, the same brainwave and things like that. Is Powell supposed to, yes, Powell's supposed to talk today. Oh, it sure is going to cause massive volatility. Massive. Steven, I agree with that. And I think that's what's happening, but I think if we play this true, we know we're getting, there's no debate we're getting quantitative easing. And what asset gets affected the most positive when you go into rate cuts? Does anybody know which category? Don't say crypto. Say what it is. Is it a risk asset? Is it not a risk asset? Is it a commodity? Is it a mining stock? Is it a precious metal, which will still do very well in that environment? But what asset is it? I want to try to teach the community. Tom, thank you so much for understanding and knowing I wasn't yelling at you. I was just trying to be more stern so that not just you, but the community understands that I respect the hell out of you and I need you in there. You're somebody who's been very dedicated in these lives for a very long time. And I know people. Once I start to get to know somebody, it's very hard to kick them out of my life. I'm a very loyal person unless you give me a reason not to be. And you've never given me that reason. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I feel like you didn't know how to respond because everybody was coming at you. And you don't know necessarily all these people as close as some of the others. So you're trying to, like, defend the integrity of the group by saying, I don't know necessarily if this is real. And then maybe a little defensive, which I would have been too. See, me in that scenario, I probably would have been the same way. I'm like, oh, now I'm trying to tell people this is fake and nobody wants to listen. This is great. Another group that says something but does something opposite. That's why I look at it a different way. I can see where you're coming from too. So it's like we all just need to take a step back because we're all family. Lonzo says he's got great news on XRP Healthcare. Ooh, I want to hear that. I want to hear that. Let's see. Prager, Tom, thanks for always giving us updates. Was able to make some bread the other day at X1 before the big run. Appreciate you and all you do for the community. Prager, I am so glad to hear that. I am so glad to hear that. Makes me so happy to see everybody making money. Oh, what is this? Lonzo with the $5 donation says XRP Healthcare is getting a SPAC listing to Canada. Stock. IPOs are coming. You need to go through the SPAC to get to the IPO. SPACs are who buys and then starts listing the IPO. These are what you need. This is the, oh boy. This is going to get spicy. You're welcome, Tom, and I appreciate you too, my friend. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. And I look forward to having your continued conversation. RG, been here since 49 cents, so it's exciting to finally see the bags back up. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You've been here about the same as me. I've been about 34 cents, but we're splitting hairs right now. 34 to 49. It's a $1,500 difference on 10,000 tokens. Does it matter when it's worth 35,000? No. That was the whole argument back in the day. Does it matter if you buy it at 50 cents or 30 cents or 70 cents if it's at $3.50? No. Do you care if it costs you 3,500 or 7,000 if you have 35 grand in your pocket? I don't think so. Even if you bought it at $1.50, if you put 15,000 to 35, do you care? Honestly. Even if you bought it at 25,000, now you make 10 grand, do you care? Like, there's opportunities up the yin yang if you do it properly. I'm talking on 10,000 tokens, obviously. Now, for me to drop 10,000 tokens, I wouldn't do it. Not even in the budget to drop 35 grand in XRP. But holding it in the XRP healthcare, it's well within the budget because it's like I don't have the money. You know? That's how we do it. I just seen it as market as chaos. Yep. That's exactly. I'm glad that you said that just now, Tom. I'm so glad you said that because that's what I was saying. That's what I felt like I could feel what you were thinking, and you were trying and not understanding exactly how to do it because how are you supposed to communicate to all those people? I have a hard time as it is, and I'm the one who created it, as you know. So yeah, I'm glad you said that. Tom said, I just seen it as the market is chaotic and stressful, so the last thing we needed was information that had no backing or evidence. People get caught up in the hype and get rocked. Sometimes, though, when you find information, it's very hard to validate it in the beginning. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. And it is chaotic because right now we're looking at a lot of red. We're looking, and the other thing too to remember, everybody, is there's a lot of scammers out there. So even in the group, we had to come up with extraordinary security measures because of all the people that were trying to spam and try to imitate me, which is horrendous. Daytona, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. I'm glad I nailed that on the head, Tom. I was trying to speak like for what you might be feeling because that's what I'd be feeling. Daytona, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Bob Burtner, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Love it. Thanks, Bob, for continuing to be a big part of this community. Bearded Viking, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 month, or for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. And that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge, I kid you not. It says, thank you for all you do for the community and the info you give. I know you don't have to. I don't have to, but I feel like I'm guided in the proper direction to do so. And I'm glad you sent me an email. Thank you for the update on your child as well. And then letting me like know what's going on. And we were able to have a little bit of I was able to send you it was a little longer message than I had planned, but I wanted to do it in like a categorized way, like section by section by section to answer your message. But I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad that you were, reciprocal, or at least willing to listen to what I was saying about different opportunities and trying to approach it in the way of maybe XRP, yes, it's good to get into and we're trying to build a portfolio, but at these prices, there's a lot of different avenues you can go down as well. Because building XRP from here, and it gets difficult at these prices. Very difficult. Man, this market is just so stubborn. It like literally, man, we're going to get wrapped up in Powell. That's the problem today. That is the problem. Fed Chair Jerome Powell hit with criminal referral by House GOP trumpet. It's unbelievable, all this bullshit. Like, why even lie to us like this? Hello, Powell doesn't make the decision, so he's just a front man. Why not just say the central bank runs it? The fact that Trump is doing this is just asinine. I like Trump as a businessman, but you can't run the country as if it's your own business. And it's not working right now. The debt's going out of control. The dollar's not doing great. We're going to continue to quantitative ease. We're going to cut rates, probably negative in time under Trump. So we're going to have to pay. This isn't good. This is a calamity here. You think gold and silver is doing this by accident, folks? You think gold's over 3,400 by accident? You think silver's over 39 by accident? Some people would say, how can you be so happy this morning when everything dropped overnight? Well, you know, when you can compound it with 6.6% yesterday on Fortuna, which was a 660, what was that? A $420 move for me. First Majestic was a $410 move. Pan America Silver, I don't even know how much that was. B2 Gold was about a $400 move yesterday. Barrett Gold, about a $200-300 move. Same thing with Pan America was a little bit more than that. Hecla, same thing, $240. So Dolly Varden, 150. So I mean, you start looking at this, and you're like, well, how? Because you're weighting it, you're balancing it. And right now, crypto is ultra volatile. So if you're in it in spot, that's one thing. But if you're in it in leverage, please consider not doing that. I don't want you to get liquidated. I don't want you to be part of 75,000 liquidations overnight for over $200 million. I hate that some of my audience was part of that. I do. I'm not even talking about during the day yesterday. I'm talking about specifically overnight when we were sleeping. Cowabunga says, Tom's parents raised you very well. They did a good job. Now, obviously, some of it is me. And you'd have to know my family to understand because I came from a pretty wild family of a lot of anger issues and drug problems and things like that. But I carried myself in a different demeanor. I was a very angry kid, though, when I was in my 20s, probably especially. Not angry, but misunderstood. But I've always carried myself with 3 pieces of identity. One, all you have is your word, and once you break it and you start lying, that word's no longer good. That leads into your integrity, and then it leads into your willingness to be abundant for all instead of for yourself. Those are my 3 key factors to life. Help create abundance for all, have integrity, right? And be truthful and factual, and don't lose yourself along the way with lies. Let's see. Yeah, glad somebody brought up ZBCN because I wanted to see where it was at this morning. I did for the, okay, so I said it in the Telegram too. You're going to go right now? Yeah. Oh, you guys are going home? Yeah. Okay. Is Julie almost ready? Yeah. Oh, she's done feeding tea and everything? Yeah. Okay, guys, I got to end this because we're going to be leaving. Have a safe trip, Jamie. I'm going to end this, guys. I'll talk to you guys when I get home. I want to say bye to everybody.